Here we are, Fight Fans. MMA Discussion Podcast has finally started. I'm admin Nick Peralta. I'm going to start off the podcast here with Adam Carr
What's up?
and Blaze Hart.
How's it going, guys?
We're three of your admins from MMA Discussion. We finally got this thing started. It's been a long time coming, guys. Man, I'm excited. Excited.
Mine too, man.
Let's get it started.
Let's do it, man. First topic, we're going to get to the fan questions later. We have our own topics we're going to start off with. First off, we're going to start off with news that hit earlier today. Dan Henderson versus Daniel Cormier. However the fuck you say it. How do you say it, Adam? Adam knows how to say it. Cormier. There you go.
Yeah,
that fight was announced.
O'Brien style.
That fight was announced, what, yesterday or the day prior? And,
Sometime this week.
Yeah, now it's being announced.
April Fool's joke at first.
Yeah, that's what everybody was thinking. It was announced on April Fool's, that's correct. Now it's being announced that the winner of that fight gets a title shot after Alexander Gustafsson. I personally think that the winner should just fight Gustafsson, and at the same time, I think that the UFC is kind of missing out on one fight here. There's Phil Davis versus Anthony Johnson, and look at what Phil Davis has been doing. The guy's been running through dudes left and right. His only loss has been to Rashad Evans his whole career. That's it. You know what I mean? And a loss to Rashad Evans back in 2011, I think it was just, or 2012, I don't remember when it was, but it was.
Which wasn't like it wasn't a dismantling either.
It wasn't. It was obvious that Rashad won, but it wasn't like Davis got his ass kicked or anything like that. You know?
Wasn't Adam there for that fight?
Yeah, it was.
You were there. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't really a fight worth ever rewatching, honestly. From the stands, it was kind of boring. And for Phil Davis, I think that's one of his problems. He's just not a guy that a lot of people will pay to see yet. He doesn't have those, exciting fights. When you see Dan Henderson, people get up for that guy. And Gustafsson, people are getting up for him now. You don't really see that as much with Phil Davis, and I think that's one of his problems. It's just his lack of exciting fights is hurting his marketability.
I think he's an exciting fighter. I enjoy watching him. I've enjoyed watching all of his fights. Yeah, the Rashad Evans fight wasn't the best fight in the world, I'll say that. But he's an exciting wrestler, in my opinion. He's exciting to watch on the ground when he gets to work. I thought the Lyoto Machida fight was actually fun to watch. I know a lot of people disagree with that. The Vinny Magalhaes fight was the both Wagner Prado fights, the first one obviously being a no contest. The second one was exciting. I mean, he just threw that fucking guy around. And but if you look at the guy's resume, I feel like he's being screwed out. He's beaten Nogueira, he's beaten Gustafsson, he's beaten Machida. Whether or not you agree with that decision, he has those top 5 names. Those are top 10 guys at the very least, and he has them all on his resume. Daniel Cormier, however the fuck you say it. I can't say it right. I just can't.
Give up. Just give up.
I give up. But I just.
Doesn't he have a nickname that you can call him?
No, he doesn't.
Just call him DC then. Fuck it.
Oh yeah, DC.
Yeah, I think DC, is coming off some good wins at heavyweight. While not being exciting, they're good wins. I think a win over Dan Henderson could warrant him a title shot depending on the fight. I just think that the UFC shouldn't leave out Phil Davis at this point. He's been talking about how he deserves a fight. I believe that he does. That he should at least fight the winner of that fight, especially if the winner of Jones Teixeira gets Gustafsson. That leaves kind of a gap there of time for there to be more time to figure out a true number 1 contender after Gustafsson gets his shot. That's how I feel about it.
One of my worries about the fight being announced is that there's another title fight in the waiting after this fight, so they will have a long layoff.
Exactly. That's why I think that it's a little too soon to be calling for that fight specifically to be getting a title shot. Especially, think about this.
Does Phil Davis have a fight lined up right now?
Say that again?
Does Phil Davis have a fight lined up right now?
Yeah, he's fighting Anthony Johnson at this upcoming card.
Right. You just said that too.
Yeah. He's fighting he's fighting Anthony Johnson at this upcoming card. And I think he beats Johnson. I'm a huge Anthony Johnson fan, but I think Phil Davis takes that one. I think if Phil Davis beats Anthony Johnson, he's already got a long list of fights that he's won already. I think think about this too. Think if Dan Henderson beats DC. I figured DC to be the favorite in that fight, of course, but think about that. Think if Dan Henderson beats DC. He's only got 2 wins straight. They're big wins for sure. A win over DC means something for sure, and that alone could warrant a title shot. But I think one more fight for either of those guys after the win is warranted, I feel. Blaze, what do you think?
Yeah, honestly, I'm a lot more interested in the Rumble matchup against Davis. I think that's actually a really good fight, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if we see Rumble go in there and hit him on the chin and get him down. I mean, the safe bet is Davis by decision, but you can't really look past Rumble, I don't think.
I honestly think Davis submits him. I see him being able to find Johnson's back. If Koscheck could do it, Phil Davis could do it.
I mean, the thing about the Koscheck fight is that was him draining himself to 170.
That's true. That is very true.
He's not an easy guy to get down, and he might be even harder at 205 because he can stay fresher for longer, as long as the cut goes right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just Davis he pushes the pace hard. He's got great cardio. His wrestling is probably levels above Johnson's, no matter what he wants. I mean, I'm sure maybe Johnson in the clinch could throw him around or something like that, but Davis could find a way to put him on his back, I feel. So yeah, I guess the decision is maybe the best bet on that fight. But it is an exciting fight. I think Johnson, could find a knockout from anywhere with his kicks, with his punches. Maybe Johnson could find himself on top. Maybe it's possible. It's that both fights are awesome, but like I said, I don't think that Dan Henderson versus DC warrants a title shot for the winner of after that fight, especially because it feels almost like a slap in the face to Phil Davis, in my opinion.
I mean, if anything, I think that's just a lifetime achievement award for Dan Henderson more than anything.
Oh, God, I know. Just think about that. Think about that, man. That guy has been doing it for so long. To be able to beat a top contender like Daniel Cormier in what many people believe is the twilight of his career, that would be an incredible knockout if he could get it.
It's that one final run mode.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, think about it. Now Dan Henderson, just a week ago, or a week and a half ago when he was fighting Shogun, was like, man, what happens if he loses this fight? All of a sudden, he wins one fight. He's thrown into a title shot match. That's insane.
Yeah, the thing about his run right now, Hendo's kind of like last run, as he put it. We've seen it before, but like not to this caliber. Like Hendo's in there, he's getting wins. In his losses, he's losing close fights to top competitors, except the Vitor fight. You see guys like Couture, when Couture had his last run, he had 3 wins before the Machida loss, but it was against subpar competition, I guess you can say, and it was really grinding out decisions. It wasn't good. We haven't really seen a guy at Hendo's age of his caliber come back at this point in their career at over 40 years old and do something like he's doing. And what he's doing it's really admirable to sit back and watch. I mean, I'm not the biggest Hendo fan, but like when I step back and look at what he's doing, it's impressive. And I mean, not to say that I'm rooting for him against Cormier because I think he's going to lose, but I wouldn't be if he lost, right? Because it's a really good story.
It is, man. I mean, it's not like looking at Chuck Liddell where many people just kind of saw it coming, with Chuck, I mean, even before he lost to Rashad. He had lost 2 in a row, bad losses. Many people were saying, what happens after the Silva win? He might go on this run, and then he just went on the streak of knockouts where everybody was just saying he should probably give it up. He said it himself going into the Shogun fight that if he lost that fight, he might think about retiring. I remember that. And then he, sure enough, comes back, fights with Franklin. We all know how that went.
But let's be honest. That Rich Franklin fight, Chuck looked great.
Oh yeah, I'll say that for sure. Now that I think about it, yeah, he was winning that round for sure.
Like, he looked so good. He broke Franklin's arm. He was connecting with his shots, and then all of a sudden, 10 seconds left. Man,
yeah, exactly.
That sucked.
I mean, who's to
why
say?
People were calling for his retirement too, was because all it took was a punch that, quite honestly, 3 fights earlier he was walking right through.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, Dan Henderson doesn't have that problem right now. I mean, his chin isn't what it used to be. I mean, ever since he left Pride, he's been getting knocked down a lot more than he was in Pride. But he's still eating the shots and recovering, for the most part, except for, Vitor, TRT God Belfort.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Jesus. That's an inside joke here at MMAD.
Why have you forsaken me?
Man, I still think those are both great light heavyweight fights. The light heavyweight division still looks hot right now, despite what many people are saying. It's not great. I think it is. I think there's some great fights to make. those are the best fights to make for the contenders. I feel. I just don't think that that should be warranted for a top shot, as I said before. Moving on.
So,
We will move on.
no,
What'd you
go
say?
ahead.
Go ahead, Blaze. What's your last
I
words?
was going to say, this is also going to be Hendo's first fight off the TRT because he was actually approved for the one previously against
That's
Shayna. Was out.
right.
Against
Oh.
Evans?
Wow. Think about that too. And
So
what's
wasn't
crazy?
Wasn't he off TRT against Rashad Evans? I don't think he got approved.
He was
right there.
off that fight. He was off TRT for the Rashad Evans fight. He was
Oh,
not, because that fight was in Canada, and I don't know why, but the Athletic Commission in Canada just didn't allow him to have TRT.
Because
And he-
we're smart, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, but he looked at least decent against Rashad. It wasn't the most exciting fight, but he was trying to put him away, and he didn't look too tired, too bad, too hurt in that fight. I think he'll be all right. I think he knows that, and he's he's been the guy. I think he was the very first fighter to ever get on TRT. I think he was the guy who started it. Started with him and ended with him. That's impressive in itself. But I mean, he's one to admit that he doesn't believe TRT affects his skill set.
We'll find out.
We will.
Yeah.
We'll see how he looks.
Well, not even necessarily. We're never really going to know because, I mean, he could get his ass kicked either way. We're not going to know. I mean, he could go get his ass kicked and we're all of a sudden going to say, oh, look, it's regular Vitor or regular Hendo, and we're not going to really know the difference.
I think it also comes down
Our
to
job is and we're not media members, but as people who voice our opinions, our job is to speculate, and that's what we're doing now. Is what we'll do with Henderson off and on TRT. It's all speculation.
yeah. I mean, I'm very eager to see how Vitor looks when he finally gets back into a fight. I want to see how he looks physically. It's obviously going to be all eyes are going to be on him for his fight to see how he looks, to see if he's still got that pep in his step, those hands, everything with it. We're all going to see. We're going to move on now to the next bit of news. Well, we all talked about it earlier. About a few months ago, I think it happened in January, or early February, where Julianna Pena took an injury to the leg, a very gruesome one that's put her out almost 2 years. She says otherwise now on her Twitter. She says maybe a year and a half tops, which would be interesting. This is her quote. This is Julianna saying, quote, to the media when asked about what happened the way Dana explained it. She says, I don't think I accidentally explained it incorrectly to Dana. I think I explained it 110% exactly how the story went. What happened was I wasn't even wearing an Ultimate Fighter shirt because the kid told me he thought it was an Ultimate Fighter rash guard. But here's the thing, it's a gray rash guard. It had a little UFC emblem. I was wearing that. I was late, so when I got there, he was like, hurry up, let's go. So I got on the mat, I hit the clock, and he says, oh, you're wearing your Ultimate Fighter rash guard. I was like, what's that supposed to mean? That you're really tough, I'm really scared. I'm like, whatever, and we slapped hands, and a minute later, my knee was tore up. So it sounds like they were just kind of messing around with her.
Wow, you know what really pisses me off about that is when it first happened, Dana came out right away and he's like, she texted me or she called me crying. She said, guys, making fun of me with the Ultimate Fighter shirt. He jumped on her back right away and he tore her knee and she called me crying and stuff. And then Michael Chiesa, who also trains at that gym, he says that's not what happened. They were playing around. This is making our gym look bad. And then these different stories come out and then now the timing is different. It's just something about the story is really weird and nothing seems to add up regarding any of the accounts about what happened.
That's exactly how Ronda Rousey put it. No one has a clear account of what happened in there.
Exactly.
No one has a clear account. As far as reading that quote, I feel like it was just a simple. Like she said, it sounds like she just threw herself under the bus, kind of, because she said she showed up late, and the coaches say she showed up late and didn't do her normal stretching. She missed out on that, and because of that, may have been why she got injured. And it doesn't sound like the guy did anything that bad. And this is coming from that quote right there that I just said came from Julianna herself. That just sounds like whatever kind of teasing. Like I could call you a faggot. You're not gonna get that. You're not gonna get that upset at me. All right, but she got so upset all because he said, "Oh, you're so tough." Some bullshit like that. Doesn't sound like it's that big of a deal in my opinion.
I mean, coming from someone who trains jiu-jitsu, Nick, you do too. I mean, we shit on each other back and forth on the mat all the time. It's usually only good fun because you have that trust between your training partner.
You know what I mean? Of course. And I mean, you're always looking out to make sure you don't, really hurt somebody. You're not trying to hurt anybody. Period. In there, you always got to look out for your training partners. Your training.
It just seemed like a fixed game more than anything.
Say that again, Adam.
So it just seems like a freak thing more than anything. It's
Yeah.
like she went down one way, her leg went the other way.
Yeah, that's just. I mean, it just the thought of it sounds gross. But you know, shit happens. Shit happens in the gym. It happens. Injuries happen. I think the way Dana put it, it definitely got everybody thinking, well, what's going on at this gym, this, that, and the other, and everybody started defending this guy who I guess is still unknown to whoever it was that took Julianna's back and fucked the leg up. It's still unknown who that is, but everybody in the gym seems to be taking this guy's back, and it's why Dana burnt that whole team the first time, because he was like, this whole team is just backing up this one guy, and he's backing up Julianna Pena. And, you know, like, when we don't have a full account of what happened, it's definitely odd, but it makes most sense now that I'm reading this quote and hearing that everybody's backing this guy. It just sounds like gym humor, and it just sounds like it was put out a little too crazy. Freak accident. I think it was just, you know, shit happens. Blaze, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it makes sense, and basically, it seems like it's a big gym. From what I've heard, only one person's come out and really say something, and it was completely different. It doesn't make sense. Usually in a gym, there's lots of people there. There's lots of people that are going to witness something, especially if the guy's making a scene and poking fun at her and they're rolling. I mean, you would feel like there's going to be a definite account of exactly what happened here, and it's just one of those things where it sounds like someone's trying to say one thing, someone's trying to make it look the wrong way, and it just, I don't know. I don't believe anything that I'm hearing about it, because there's no point in speculating, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was paying attention, because I don't think there was anything to pay attention to. I think it was just regular gym humor. I do jiu-jitsu, I do kickboxing, I do boxing. I fucking hit dudes in the face, and my words are not going to hurt them more than what I do in there sparring with them. All right? They're not gonna get mad. And I've sparred with women, and you know, I think I'm more respectful towards women. I never say anything to any women in the gym, ever. But not because, you know, I shouldn't. I just don't. You know what I mean? It's more fun to do it with the guys. That's just how I feel.
There's also that fine line with training with a woman where you don't want to treat her like a woman so much, like it's to the point where you don't respect her as a training partner.
Oh hell no! I'll try and kick her ass. You want to know?
She'll
She'll fuck me up otherwise if you train with the women I train with.
What she's trying to do.
I see what Adam means. It's a very careful road that you have to walk down. Like, you can't go too hard, but you also can't make them think that you're treating them like a girl, so to speak, because they're going to get offended, and in turn, they're not going to have your trust as a training partner, which is what he was touching on before.
Of course.
As far as going too hard in general, that's always a worry you have, especially with newer guys in the gym, is that they'll just go too hard. And one of the part of the quote that you actually, I think, left out was the fact that she was saying for the guy to slow down. And he just kept going, took her back, and, you know, we all know what happened. Is that true? Who knows? There's probably some truth to what she said. There's probably some truth to what the other side's saying. Like I said on the page, the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. It's in the gray area. It's never with one side, and it's never with the other side.
I think we've touched on it well enough. I mean, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, gym bullshit, shit happens. We move on now. We're actually going to talk about next week's card. Next Wednesday's card. The Zuffa UFC blah, is going to Abu Dhabi again for the second time in their promotion's history. And it's going to be highlighted with Antonio Minotauro Nogueira versus Roy Nelson in what is undoubtedly going to be crowned the worst poster ever in the UFC's history. I mean, I don't know if anybody's seen this poster as far as our fans, but I mean, we should probably show them again when this podcast goes up. But this poster just looks horrendous. First of all, you have Nogueira stretching his arm out, looking like Mr. Fantastic, and you have Roy Nelson with his head photoshopped onto his own body. It's just.
Can I just interrupt and say Nogueira on that picture looks like him right after Frank Mir broke his arm? I feel like they just took his picture.
Yeah. Oh my! I'm looking at it right now, and I just think, I'm like, holy shit! Yeah. When he's on the ground looking at his arm, I'm like, fuck. I think it's a horrible poster. I feel bad for Abu Dhabi having to put that all over their goddamn city. It's pretty sad.
Our world.
Yeah. We just put it on the internet. It's going to be on God knows when in the morning. It's as most per usual for most Fight Pass cards. Blaze, I know you have the Fight Pass. What do you think about it thus far?
The actual Fight Pass itself?
The Fight Pass itself, yeah. Like, what are you using it for? How often do you use it? Is it good? Is it bad?
Yeah, I actually really enjoy it. I mean, I know there's some people that don't enjoy it that much. Basically, the most that I do with it as of right now is when I'm just lying around and I have not much to do, I just go back and watch full events. Like, I actually watch the full events. I don't know, it makes it feel more enjoyable to me, I guess. I don't really just watch single fights. I was watching a lot of old school Pride, like the Bushido cards, because I love that shit, and you can't really find that a lot of places these days.
Especially in good quality.
Early days, WEC. I almost said ECW. And I don't know, I just enjoy it, especially the live events. Like when I watch Gustus and Manua, it's streamed very well, great quality. The prelims, like for Hendo Shogun, the one fight with Godofrede, man, that was good quality.
That was a
good
sick
fight.
knockout. Yeah, that was beautiful.
It's just
knockout.
convenient. The one thing that I don't like though is like the fight nights that are on Fox Sports and whatnot. I feel like the people paying $10 for Fight Pass should be able to stream those as well, because like I can watch the prelims in good quality, then I have to switch to a shitty stream to watch the main card. Just really not funny in my opinion.
Yeah. Adam, do you have Fight Pass? I don't even know.
Cable, so.
Adam, do you have Fight Pass? I don't even know.
Yeah, I have Fight Pass.
You sound excited as fuck. All right, go ahead.
So I have a bunch of Pride DVDs. I have a bunch of UFC DVDs. So the backlog isn't really something that, impresses me all too much. And I mean, I've been known to torrent the events after they're done anyway. So, like Blaze, I prefer to watch the event as a whole. I don't know if authenticity is the right word, but it feels more pure that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just, the catalog to me is all right. I don't see much use for it. I'm not up at 2 a.m. watching fights as it is. I used to do that for for Dream events and K1 events, but I don't know.
You've also done it for a page for 1FC most of the time.
Oh, yeah. I've actually kind
on.
of tailed off on that lately due to school and work, but,
Yeah.
The comparison between, to make a little side note, the comparison's always been Fight Pass and WWE Network. I think the WWE Network's a lot better. I think Fight Pass has a good idea, and they can improve it going forward. It can be worth the money. Just right now, it's just, I forget I have it. I don't use it all that much.
Yeah, sometimes I do too. I've actually been using the Fight Pass to chronologically watch every UFC, because I don't have a lot of DVDs. I really don't. I watch most of the fights online. I have a lot of buddies that have the DVDs. My dad carried a lot of the early UFCs when he was into it, more so than myself. But yeah, I love that I'm able to watch. I've watched 1 through 6 thus far. I'm on UFC 7. I love watching it. I have a great laptop to watch it in the morning. I can just lie in bed and watch it, and boom, it's in my face. I enjoy it as well. I agree with you 100%, Adam. It's definitely, it can improve in some spots. I do think that the UFC were freaking geniuses to put the Ultimate Fighter Brazil on the Fight Pass. I thought that was genius, because it's definitely going to get people to get on there to watch the rivalry between Sonnen and Silva, one of the craziest rivalries I've seen. And it's just so palpable if anybody's watching the Ultimate Fighter Brazil right now, because you just see Vanderlei staring at him like a fucking cobra all day, every day.
I don't like you, motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Man, it's funny because because it's in Portuguese all the way, that they don't bleep out any of the explicit English language. So you hear Vanderlei Silva call, "Hey, you better shut the fuck up, motherfucker." I was like, "Oh shit, they didn't even cut that out. Look at that."
I don't like you.
Yeah. Oh man, it's enjoyable to watch. The fights are really good as well. If anybody watched the recent episode this past week, crazy 12-second knockout by the Uriah Faber Renan Barão baby. Dude,
that guy, he creeps me out. He literally looks as if they had like a one night stand after UFC and whatever.
UFC 169 one night stand, yeah. The dude's impressive though, man. That guy has fast hands, quick movement for a heavyweight, and man, you could just tell that guy's gonna drop down the light heavyweight when he if the UFC takes him in, because he weighed in at 208 pounds for a heavyweight fight.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was really weird. So so he's small for that division, but man, he's got hands for sure. So the Fight Pass, I feel, thus far definitely can improve in some ways. I'm enjoying it myself. There's a lot of stuff I can watch. I know that I've missed a lot of the UFC 20s through 30s, though I know what has happened. I'm definitely going to enjoy my time watching them. For now, the next fight card for the UFC is going to be on the UFC Fight Pass. It will be on April 11th on a Wednesday, 7 days from now. Or no.
It's a Friday.
It is a Friday. What's today?
Yep, it's Friday.
April 11th. That's a Thursday. That's weird. Because today's the 3rd, right?
Yep.
It's 8 days from now. So that's
No, it's 9 days from now. That's not.
Huh. I don't know. Maybe it's maybe it's because I'm reading April 11th off the poster.
April
What's the time
11th,
difference?
Friday.
Is it?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm on fucking crack, y'all. Alright. Well, let's start from we're just going to go through the main card. Although the preliminary card has Talis Ladies versus Trevor Smith, Johnny Bedford versus Ronnie Yaya, heavyweight Jared Roshaw versus Daniel Amialansuk, which is a very cool name. Chris Camozzi versus Andrew Craig. Pretty good prelims, I feel. Dustin Ortiz is also on the undercard for those guys.
Andrew Craig's so underrated.
He is. I feel like he's a very great fighter. I was definitely most impressed when he fought Chris Leben. And that comeback, and one of his earlier fights, which was on a Facebook prelim, I remember. It was one of his earlier fights. He fought some Brazilian guy, and he was losing the fight. I forget what his name was. I think it was Rafael Natal, if I'm not mistaken. But let me look. Rafael Natal. He came back with like a crazy head kick. Lost to a Brazilian in his next fight. Beat Chris Leben. He just recently lost to the tall British man Luke Barnett, who's been looking hot. Yeah, that was a great fight as well. We're gonna just go into the main card here. Although those are all the great fights that the preliminary card has. We're gonna start off with the first card of the main card: Ramsey Nimjam versus Benil Dariush, who I've never heard of. I'm not gonna lie, I've heard of Ramsey Nimjam. Benil Dariush, I've never heard of. Nimjam, I don't even know how he's looked recently. Let's go on trusty Wikipedia here.
He's been nice. He's been looking good, except when he got destroyed by Ellsbury. But
well, I mean, he's only got one win streak going on right now. But prior to that, he had a good 3-fight win streak going on. He lost to James Vick as well, the tall Donald Cerrone looking dude from The Ultimate Fighter. He's fighting. Yeah, it's a lightweight fight. Yeah, it's a lightweight fight. He's gone thus far in the UFC. Let's see, he's gone 4-3. Not too bad. Not the best record thus far if you want to be coming off the Ultimate Fighter. But it shows that guys off the Ultimate Fighter, certain ones can do successful. I know Adam doesn't watch that at all. Blaze, what do you think about Ninjam's chances here against a basic unknown?
yeah, I mean, I like Ramsey. I've been a fan of this since the Ultimate Fighter. You know, team. I can't think of the name right now. Liddell's team with Hackelman, whatever. Anyway,
No, he was on
team,
he was on the Ultimate Fighter Lesnar versus Dos Santos.
Yes, I'm just saying. No, he's a part of like John Hackelman's. He's one of John
He's in the.
Hackelman's
Oh, he's from the Pit. Oh shit.
The Pit. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I think he's looked pretty good recently. Obviously, the 2 losses there to Jury and Vic weren't very complimenting to his record, but he's kind of one of those like on and off type guys. He looked good when he beat Danny Downs and CJ Keith. I'm looking at his record right now, but his losses have all been like devastating losses. The submission, the 2 knockouts. And in this fight here, I mean, you look at a guy who's relatively unknown, right? I mean, the guy doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, I don't think. So that's alarming right there when you don't have a Wikipedia page. So, I mean, I don't know about this opponent he's facing. I don't know if he's a striker, a ground guy, but I mean, we're going to have to see. I mean,
right now, the Dariush guy has 2 wins by TKO, 4 by submission, 1 by decision. He's undefeated, so he's got 7 wins, and the majority of them by submission.
That's impressive. Nijam is a ground guy himself, as far as I know. He's not known for striking too much. It's his ground game that really gets the job done. So that's interesting. If he's going to fight another grappler, I feel Nijam has a chance because maybe he could go in there being the better grappler. You never know. He could go in there being the better striker if you're training with John Hackelman. You know what I mean?
You can't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go on to the next fight. This is a 4-fight main card. We got John Doomsday Howard moving back down to welterweight to fight Ryan LaFleur, a guy who's been taking out a bunch of tough names recently, such as Court McGee, and he fought Ben Alloway, and another guy, Santiago Pazabibu, however you say that name. Yeah, he's looked good. He's 10-0. He's undefeated. Definitely interesting to note that prior to coming into the UFC, he had all finishes, and now all 3 of his wins in the UFC are all decisions. It's kind of weird. But he's primarily a kickboxing. He trains out of the same gym as Chris Weidman, so you got to know that his wrestling is top notch. But a fight against John Howard is always dangerous. That dude can put dudes out.
John Howard, I mean, he can put dudes out, but lately he's been on that decision streak. He was knocking people out in the local shows around like the Boston, Massachusetts area and whatnot. But I mean, he beat Hall. It's a close fight. I thought Uriah Hall won that, to be honest. And then the Bauhauser Dada fight, very lackluster. I mean, I don't know.
I remember he picked up C.R. Bahadazari, slammed him 2 times. That was impressive. But that just shows you his feat of strength. The dude's strong when he gets in there. He throws dudes around. He's strong. He could fight at middleweight, and he's still strong. He's definitely interesting because he's kind of like a Paul Daly, but he's not as lackluster in the wrestling department. He knows what to do. He knows how to throw guys around. He has a lot. I mean, when he was in the UFC, he had a brief stint from 2009 to 2011. When he got cut, he went out into the regional circuit, won 5 or 6 fights, and won them all by knockout, I believe. And then he came back in here, has looked a little lackluster. You never know. It could be just being in the UFC. But other than that, he's won 2 fights straight.
It's looking to me like it's a confidence thing. I mean, we know he has a skill. I mean, in his first run, he looked like a destroyer for a couple of fights. You get a couple losses, and that messes with a guy's mind. And I mean, no better showing that than the Uriah Hall fight. Neither of them did anything that fight, really. And that usually comes down to a confidence thing.
The most exciting part was at the very end of the fight where John Howard threw like the most wicked Superman punch to a downed opponent I've ever seen. Hilarious.
But I honestly think I kind of want LaFleur to be on a like the opening fight of a UFC on a Fox card. If he gets this win, I think that's like the perfect kind of scenario for him to get a coming out party, because he hasn't looked bad in the UFC. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of decisions, but he's been beating some guys, and he's looked pretty good in those wins too.
Yeah, I mean, his fight with Court McGee, I was shocked. I thought Court had his number going into that fight, and he just wrecked him. Took all 3 rounds off of him, and that's Court McGee. That dude will always go down swinging. We all know that. Court McGee.
That's another guy from the pit, isn't it?
Say that again?
That's another guy from the pit.
Court McGee, yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, that surprised me. I thought Court was gonna run through LaFleur, and then all of a sudden, here comes this weird, big, tall, bald, white guy that we've never seen before. He just ran right through him, literally. Like not steamrolled him, but I mean, he decisively won that fight. There was, I don't think, a minute of that fight that Court McGee won, in my opinion. I could be remembering incorrectly, but I don't think he won any of that fight.
Yeah, he got beat up pretty good too.
And if it's a battle of confidence, LaFleur's got all the confidence, and Howard, I mean,
Howard has to have confidence. I mean, while his previous 2 fights in the UFC haven't been exciting, he's won. He's beaten C.R. Bahadazara. He's beaten Uriah Hall, who was at middleweight.
He's won, but he hasn't shown the confidence that LaFleur has. I mean, LaFleur came into the UFC showing a lot of confidence, kind of like Howard in his first run through.
Yeah, that's true.
And I haven't seen it in him.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, when you train with Chris Weidman, I gotta believe you have the wrestling edge on most guys. I mean, to train out of Long Island, he's shown that his wrestling is top notch. He's got what it takes, I think. He has the skill set to beat John Howard. I pick Ryan LaFleur decision here. What do you think?
Blaze, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick LaFleur in that fight by decision. I think if John Howard wins, it's gonna be him catching him. I feel like the way, looking at his fight, because I did watch the Court McGee fight closely, when he goes in for his takedowns, he shoots really low. I feel like John Howard can catch him with a knee in those cases. But, I mean, that's just one of those things that might happen. I feel like if John Howard doesn't land a shot like that, it's going to be LaFleur all day, taking him down, beating him up on the ground. Basically, that's how I see that fight going.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at the numbers right here. This is kind of interesting. John Howard has a 47% striking accuracy. He has the edge there. LaFleur has 70% striking defense accuracy, so he has the edge there. LaFleur has 60% takedown accuracy. John Howard has 50% takedown defense. So it honestly looks closer than I think I'm making it out to be. But just, once again, the way that LaFleur has looked recently versus the way that Howard looked recently, I think Howard's got to win by knockout. It's got to be a quick knockout, or else I think LaFleur is going to probably take rounds 2 and 3 from him.
Yeah, you have to feel that that there's more momentum on LaFleur's side going into this fight.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're going to move on to the co-main event, a fight I'm extremely excited for.
Oh, baby.
Clay the Carpenter Guida versus Tetsuya Kawajiri. What's his nickname again? I forget.
The Crusher.
The Crusher, there you go. That is an awesome fight. Kawajiri, man, blew a lot of guys' minds in his debut at the very first Fight Pass card earlier this January with the submission win against, who did he submit? I forget.
Soriano at the Fight Night card?
Yeah, a particular unknown, but that post-fight speech, man, captivating the hearts of many.
That was so good. Oh, that was awesome.
That was awesome. I mean, you can't. I mean, I believe that post-fight speech is what got him into the top 15. Everybody was just like, "Man, this guy is the shit," and it's gonna be an exciting fight. Tetsuya, is a very exciting fighter. I've watched his other fights.
What really intrigues me about this is the fact that, I mean, he's been on a tear since Melendez destroyed him with elbows a couple years ago. But the thing is, now it's more interesting because even though he hasn't been facing the top competition, I mean, like, his biggest win lately is Hansen or Omigawa, which are both on the down ends of their careers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's now at a new weight too, right? I mean, he obviously had was the Soriano fight his debut at featherweight, or was it the Omigawa fight for Dream? Like, I'm not sure how long he's been.
The Omigawa fight was for Dream. It was at featherweight. Yeah, no, the Omigawa fight was at featherweight, and it was for Dream. He's been fighting at featherweight since 2011.
Yeah, against Hansen. I just saw that here. Yeah, wow. I didn't think that he dropped down that long ago. I thought that was more recent. But, man, okay. Either way, I'm excited for this fight because, I mean, Guida's been a little bit off lately. I mean, he was a guy who was always exciting. He was, getting some good finishes. Then Ben Henderson came in and wrecked his life.
Yeah,
and then,
I mean, if man, think about that. If he'd have beaten Henderson, it would have been him versus Edgar. That's how close he was. He was so close. As well as, he's always gone in there and put in the best showing against guys except for to Maynard. That's like his only real chink in his record there.
I also think he lost to Hatsu.
A lot of people say that. Yeah, I mean, Hatsu fought so much more off his back than Clay Guida did the whole fight on top. Yeah, I remember our admin Zach here argued it very professionally with a great argument. Hatsu just looked way more active. He looked like he was doing more. He looked like he was doing more damage off his back. That's definitely
the things about the Hioki fight was I was there. Clay Guida's a hometown guy. That fight was in Chicago, and I think that played a lot into his advantage as far as getting the judges to sway to his opinion.
Oh yeah, and that was Clay Guida's. I believe that was his featherweight debut.
Featherweight debut, I'm pretty sure. And the thing about Guida is there's like 3 stages of Guida's career. There was the balls to the wall exciting one all the way up to the Huerta fight. Then after that, there was the still get wins yet be kind of passive. And then I don't remember which loss it was, but ever since then he's been kind of avoiding contact, been more prone to lay and pray as opposed to just going for it.
I believe that was the Benson-Henderson fight. I think it was that fight. I mean, prior to the Benson-Henderson fight, he was like on a 4-fight win streak.
Even that, he was kind of more reliant on holding down Nate Diaz as opposed to fighting like he was a couple years prior. I'm not saying that's dumb. It was a better strategy, honestly, but there's been a clear, steady downfall to the excitement of Clay Guida, but in many ways it's also led to the success of his wins. It's one of those catch-22s.
I think he just got more tactical, more technical. I think he just sharpened some things up, and when you do that, you have to throw away some of the exciting aspects of how you fight. I believe that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think some knucklehead fans will get mad about it and say, "Oh, he's not exciting anymore. He sucks now." People say that shit, but he'll if it gets him the W, I doubt he's complaining, and I'm not. I see it. I see that he's made it improvements. I see that he's also still needs to make certain improvements. I think striking wise, he still needs to, because he just can never really dabble with people on the feet. What's even more impressive about Clay Guida, though, is despite all that, he actually holds the only win against the UFC lightweight champion. Believe it or not, that's hilarious.
Oh yeah, in the UFC, yeah.
In the UFC, of course, yeah. I mean, Pettis lost. I think he lost once in the WC, correct?
Lost to Artemis, my old teammate. Love that guy.
Yeah.
Name dropping.
Is it Palich? What's his name?
I never liked that guy, Palashevsky or whatever.
Too much tattoos for you?
No, he just that awkward
racist
weird
against
side mohawk that he had that weird mohawk that was like diagonally across his head.
Fucking
So you're
hater.
racist what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
You fucking hater. I thought that knockout of Tyson Griffin was insane. That was an insane knockout. Yeah. That I give him props there. That's the co-main event. Who do you got in this fight, guys? Who do you got in this fight? I say I say Clay kind of catches up here. I feel he still got some good gas in the tank here. I think he beats Kawajiri by late stoppage or decision.
Well, I mean, I don't think we've really given Kawajiri enough time in this conversation. I've been a long-time fan of it. If you haven't seen Kawajiri Gomi, Pride Bushido 9, one of the top 5 fights Pride ever had. Kawajiri's strengths, he has a very strong right hand, and he's very good on the top. If he gets on top of Guida, his main finishing move is the side choke. I don't think he'll choke Guida out, but if he can get on top of Guida, it can be a long night for Clay Guida. The problem with Kawajiri, though, is the fights are racking up, the years are racking up, and it doesn't matter what happens to Clay Guida. He has that energy, and it's tough for me to say if Kawajiri will able to hang on to that energy long enough. If he can get him down and nullify the energy, I'm going to go Kawajiri by decision.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing Clay has in this fight that's an obvious edge over Kawajiri, it's got to be the cardio. That fucker can move for days and days and days. That's the crazy thing.
It's transcended the featherweight well.
Yeah, I mean, the cut doesn't seem to have hurt him at all. I mean, he looked worse in his lightweight fight against Maynard as far as cardio-wise goes than he did in both fights at featherweight here. I mean, his loss against Mendez, I mean, it's Mendez. You can't knock him for that. Mendez is just on a fucking roll right now. There's arguments that he could get the next featherweight title shot if Aldo decides to stay at featherweight, Can't knock him there. Kawajiri, I mean, wow. I'm looking at his record here. It looks amazing. He's 33-7 with 2 draws, and I mean, he has 22 finishes. That's insane. With 33 wins, that's a 66 winning percent by finishes. That's insane. Especially when you look at the knockouts and submissions. He's got 12 knockouts and 10 submissions.
Mm-hmm.
He's so split. Like that's like the epitome of what a mixed martial arts record should look like, because it's mixed martial arts. The guy can mix it up. That's incredible.
A lot of his knockouts came from his deadly right hand, but his right hand doesn't really carry the same power it does more. That's why his most dangerous way to finish a fight is with the side choke these days.
Yeah. I mean, what style of grappling would you say that he uses? Because I will be honest, I don't follow Kawajiri or many Japanese fighters for that matter.
If you want to talk about a Japanese fighter translating to a Western style, Kawajiri has the most Western style of any Japanese fighter I've seen not named Okami. He's a power wrestler, very top-heavy game. And that's usually what leads to success in the U.S. is a power wrestler with a top-heavy game.
So kind of like Yushin Okami, just not as, double leg savvy.
I say Kawajiri relies a little bit more on the double leg. Yushin relies more on the clinch, and Kawajiri is more active on top than the clinch.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about Kawajiri is, I wouldn't say he's slowing down, but the years are catching up to him. Blaze, you go.
Well,
yeah, you know what? You make a good point. It's almost like I look at Kawajiri and almost like the lightweight Shogun, whereas he's still young as far as actual age goes, but in the fighting game, he's old. He's getting worn out right now. He's almost 36, maybe 37. But I mean, he's on a 6-fight win streak right now. Kawajiri, I honestly think Guida might take him down, rough him up a little bit. That's what wrestlers have done sometimes. But then you look at fights like Josh Thompson for Dynamite, man. Josh Thompson is a pretty good wrestler. You saw how he did, even recently against Ben Henderson. You see him against who was the guy he fought before Hendo? Thompson.
Nate Diaz.
Yeah, I mean, even against Diaz, you saw what he did to Diaz, and he shut him down. Kawajiri shut Thompson down. He beat him. It depends. It's almost as if we have to wait and see which Kawajiri shows up. We see him against, guys like Miyata and Hansen and Fickett, where he runs through them. Then, Thompson, he kind of top-heavy game. As far as I remember, the Thompson fight, I'm almost positive Kawajiri ended on top a few times in that fight.
That's pretty much what won him the fight with his top control and his ability to take him down and nullify Thompson's game. And that's why I'm saying he has a very Western-ish style as opposed to the Japanese kind of Eastern style where it's all don't use power, use all technique. It just doesn't translate well to over here.
And that surprised me because, I mean, to be completely honest, before the Thompson fight, the only fight that I've ever seen Kawajiri fight before was the Aoki fight, where Aoki destroyed his ankle, and he didn't look very good in that fight. And I knew Thompson very well at that point. I thought Thompson was going to run right through him. I knew he was a good wrestler, and all of a sudden, he comes out and just controls the entire fight. And again, that was 4 years ago now, almost 4 years ago. So, I mean, it's kind of weird to harp on a fight that much for myself, I guess. But the bottom line is, what I'm trying to say is Guida's a good wrestler. I feel like Guida can take him down and rough him up. But I've been wrong in picking that in the past, so I don't know. In this case, I'm still going to say Guida is going to grind out a decision. But I'd be stupid to count out Kawajiri at this point because he's proven me wrong before.
A lot of people count out a lot of Japanese and Eastern fighters coming over. Kawajiri is not one of those guys you can count out based on the fact that he's a Japanese guy because he just doesn't have that kind of fight style. That's really the main point I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
and I mean, is it weird that the only reason that I really would like Kawajiri to win is because I would like to see him one-up his post-fight interview? Like, that would be so epic.
That would be sick. Well, I mean, you got to also think about this, guys. I mean, they're fighting in Abu Dhabi. It's not like one's in either one's hometown. These guys are both going to have to make the trip. They're both going to have to get over the jet lag. I feel it's fair ground for both fighters here. With that being said, I'm never counting out Clay Guida when it comes to him and cardio. I think in 3 rounds he'll be able to at least capture 2 just based on his cardio. I think he'll find the top game more adequately than Kawajiri can find his. So with that said, I believe Guida gets the decision here. Adam, I think you're the only one who hasn't made a call on this fight. What do you think?
Oh, I said Kawajiri by decision.
All right. We'll move on then to the main event, and holy shit, Antonio Minotauro Rodrigo Nogueira versus Roy Big Belly Nelson. Big Country. I love me for some Roy Nelson, though. You can't not love that dude. He's awesome.
Not looking forward to this fight. I'm not looking forward to it.
Really?
Because you're a Nogueira fan, right?
Nogueira is going to go to sleep, and it's going to be really bad.
I don't know how I feel about that. I find it hard to believe that Nogueira can put Nelson down and submit him. It's possible, but is it? I don't know. Where is Nogueira really? When did we last see him? He lost last year to Fabricio Verdum, got injured because of that submission, has been out since then, and, prior to that, he beat Dave Herman, but that's fucking Dave Herman. Dude's...
Yeah, but Dave Herman doesn't practice jiu-jitsu.
Exactly, and it took him 2 rounds to submit him. So
here's what really scares me about this fight. Nogueira, historically, his entire career, even till now, is an easy guy to hit. Big Country is hard. Nogueira's chin isn't what it used to be. It's a common misconception that his chin was great, legendary. He had a great chin, but his recovery is what was legendary. Yeah. If Big Country hits him, though, it's not going to end well. Unless he stays barely conscious and latches onto a limb, which Big Country, as far as I know, has never been submitted. Is Joe Rogan harps on his underrated ground game to the point where I think he overrates it by underrating it so much, but I don't think he's going to be dumb enough to get caught coming in.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I think. I think Nogueira has hands. I don't think he's putting Nelson away. That's just not happening. I don't think with his hands. Nobody can do that. I don't think anybody can do that right now.
Orlovsky.
Except Orlovsky. But it's fucking Orlovsky. That dude, if he swings as hard as he fucking can, which he did,
he might knock himself out with the wind he creates.
But you got to look at Nogueira's last 2 wins. Other than that Herman win, he's beaten Brendan Schaub, which he looked perfect in that fight. That was a perfect performance altogether. And then he beat Randy Couture. And it's Randy Couture in his later years. So take that for what you will.
Even the Schaub fight, though, that illustrates my point. Nogueira's prone to getting hit. He was getting tagged and nailed.
And the Schaub fight?
Schaub he's historically chinny, and that worked in Nogueira's favor that Schaub can't take a shot that well. He nailed him with that big right.
Yeah, that's right. They're impressive wins nonetheless. But, if you look at those losses, really, the Frank Mir fight is the only real knock you can have on him. Because he lost to Cain Velasquez. It's fucking Cain Velasquez. Mm-hmm. And he lost to Fabricio Verdum, who arguably, if he wins his next, if he does win his next fight, gets a shot at Cain Velasquez. So they're
He's
the two.
he's not getting past Hapa.
Well, that's an argument for another day, but many would probably agree with you there. But that being said, I mean, those are top dudes. Roy Nelson has been just like Nogueira, has been just going back and forth up and down the rankings because we just don't know what to do with those guys. They keep losing the big fights and winning the not so big ones, and so it definitely tells where Nogueira's at in his career. It also could tell where Roy Nelson goes from here as far as his career goes because he's kind of at a stalemate. I feel Nogueira is at a do or die moment. Those are the real differences between the two while they've been going back and forth in between fights.
Roy looks good though, physically.
Statistically, Roy looks amazing. I mean, the guy can take shots like no other. Eventually, that can catch up to you, but you never know. I don't think that it's happened yet. But Roy Nelson, just like Nogueira, has looked kind of iffy. I mean, he lost his last two fights against Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier, while Nogueira is 3-3 in his last 6 fights. But you look at the fights prior to that, he was knocking dudes out. He had a great 2012, 2013, prior to other than the Stipe loss, because I mean he was really trying to prove a point with that loss by winning the fight with Stipe and then hopefully getting a better contract and that whole political deal with the UFC.
Oh, that bullshit.
Yeah, I mean you never know with this fight. I think it's such a iffy fight. I really don't know who to pick here. I mean, I want to lean towards Roy Nelson. He feels like the fresher fighter going in career-wise. I think Nelson can find the hands. I think Nogueira moves slow enough to where Nelson could find the hands. I think if Nelson puts his fists on his chin, he goes to bed. I think if he puts it on his head, Nogueira goes down, and then this turns into like a wicked grappling fight. I'm gonna call Nelson by the 3rd round knockout.
Blaze, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna call Roy Nelson first round. I don't think, honestly, how I see the fight playing out, I actually feel. I know you said Nogueira has a tendency to get hit often, which is true. I feel like Nogueira is gonna probably have a similar game plan, almost as if like when Verdun fought Fedor, he's gonna try and lure him in, and I feel like Nelson's gonna hit him, and he's gonna hit him hard, and he's gonna go to sleep, and I feel like it's not going past 2 or 3 minutes, and I mean. I hope I'm wrong. There's nothing that's going to make me any happier than a big Nog win, but I don't see it happening. I don't see it in any circumstance happening.
No, there's no shock to our regular longtime fans that me and Zach especially we're big Pride fans.
Of course.
The problem with being big Pride fans is all those fans are getting way up there now, and their relevance is quickly dwindling. I'm not trying to sell Nogueira short by saying he doesn't have a good shot to win it. Realistically, though, it's styles make fights, and if this was 2003 Nogueira, you better believe I'm taking him all day. But it's 11 years past that. And Nogueira has not looked nearly as good. His wins, he's looked up. The Dave Herman win looked good all around. His boxing looked really crisp. His submission game was good, obviously enough to get the submission. But, man, it's just, he doesn't take the shots like he used to, and he just kind of stands there. The Cain Velasquez fight is a perfect example of him being a human punching bag. He just stood there and took them. He didn't defend, he didn't try to evade, he didn't try to block. He just ate the punches, and that put him to sleep. He just doesn't move as well since the surgeries on his knees, and I just don't see him being able to avoid the right hand. I mean, Roy Nelson's timing on the right hand is very good, and the right hand is deceptively fast. It can come out of nowhere and hit you, at least in the first round, and that's where I think it's going to hit him, like Blaze, about 3 minutes into the first round. I hope I'm wrong, but just current career pass, just the way they've been looking, I got to call Roy Nelson by knockout.
So, we finally all agree on one fight. That's insane.
The one we don't want to agree on.
Yeah, the one we don't want to agree on. I'm a big Nog fan myself. My favorite performance by him, personally, is the Tim Sylvia fight. I watched that live. I thought it was insane. He's always been one of my favorites.
Can I just cut in real quick? I don't know if you guys know this song or whatever, but when Big Nog came out to Give Me Shelter by the Stones to come out to Tim Sylvia, that gave me goosebumps. That is like the best entrance ever.
Yeah. It was good.
Big Nog shit.
Big Nog is the shit. More so than Lil Nog. Lil Nog gets on my nerves.
Lil Nog, you can't.
Lil Nog so Duke can't stay healthy.
Oh my god, I know. He's easily He easily is the
He needs to
worst
stop
guy.
He needs to stop feeding the buses carrots and eat them himself. As Chael says, he just needs to stop, take some protein. He'll be fine.
Oh my goodness, he's the most fragile fighter, and I think
Really
he
is,
may
though.
legitimately be the most fragile fighter in UFC history statistically. I think he's pulled out of more fights than he's had. It's insane. I think we're gonna move on now, guys. We're gonna move on to the fan questions. We put up a post on the MMA discussion post we put up, and we're gonna give you guys your due here to ask us some questions. We'll do our best to answer them as best as we can. Here we go. We're gonna start off here with one fan question. If this thing would load. 1 second, guys. Here we are. What?
Trying to create conversation to kill time. How are the bitches, Blaze?
Look at that. We're almost at. Look at that. We're almost at an hour in. Yeah, you were right. Killing time.
How about this weather, guys?
It's warm out here, finally.
It's raining like hell over here. We're in different areas. Where are we? I'm in California. Blaze is in good old Canada, and Adam is in the windy city of Chicago.
Ooh.
Yes. Here we go, guys. All right. First question by Matthew Daneman. Is White protecting his investment in Rousey by keeping Cyborg out of the UFC? Holy shit, one of the most debated topics in all of MMA right now. Easily.
Man, I don't even know if I want to touch this one.
No, because we'll talk about it for at least a half hour, I'm sure.
Oh, man.
Let's just try and get through it fast. I feel that it's been made simple. I think Cyborg just needs to fight at 135 as quick as she can. Well, maybe not as quick as she can. That's not healthy. But she needs to fight at 135 a couple times outside of the UFC. Once she does, if the UFC doesn't sign her by like 1 or 2 fights, then yeah, maybe it looks like they're not, they're trying to keep her out. Other than that, I think if she gets to 1 or 2, 2 being max maybe, Cyborg could get into the UFC, and maybe like one good fight over a top contender at 135 in the UFC, and then she's right there. It could arguably happen by the end of 2015 if Cyborg does what she says she wants to do, which is fight every 2 months. That's her goal. She wants to fight by the end of the summer at 135 and then fight again by the end of this year. If that all goes well and the UFC decides to sign her at the beginning of next year, then she could fight sometime in the spring or summer of next year, and then boom, you have a headliner right there at the end of next year. I think it could happen. I don't think the UFC is trying to keep her out. But not only has the UFC said this, but the state athletic commissions have both said that the fact that the word "die" was used in a press conference when she was saying she couldn't make 135, it obviously made a huge difference. Dana loves to thrash Tito for it, and whether that's correct or not, we don't know. I think that fight does need to happen. What sucks is that a lot of people, all of a sudden, that I'm reading all over the internet, is that people are saying Cyborg lost to this one chick in Muay Thai, and that has nothing to do with MMA. It's irrelevant. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, if you look at the chick, she's undefeated in that sport. It's her sport. It's Muay Thai. Cyborg only has 2 fights. She fought a chick with over 40 fights in Muay Thai.
It's guys, but like honestly, it's like if Pettis was to go do like the ADCC, like the submission grappling, like he's gonna get his ass destroyed, and because he's are people gonna say, oh, he sucks now, he's gonna get beat? No, like why do people MMA fans, man? I can't.
Yes.
I can't.
I hear you, bro. I mean, that's what I hate hearing. And while I'm around a Rousey fan, I want to see that fight. I want to see Rousey get tested. I really want to see that fight happen. I think, other than Cyborg, I want to see her fight Holly Holmes. A lot of people say Holly Holmes hasn't fought the competition worthy enough to fight Rousey. But if you look at Holly Holmes, I think she has the perfect style. And while I'm a Rousey fan, I'm going to say the exact kind of style that could beat Ronda Rousey. It's a person who can stay away from her, utilize long-distance attacks striking-wise, which Holly can do. She has long legs. She can throw head kicks, body kicks, side kicks.
She knows how to use the range. That's what a lot of people
Exactly. She knows how to use that range. She can get in and out. She can avoid the clinch. She can avoid getting taken down. If she can do that, I think she picks Ronda apart. And that's the biggest challenge striking-wise, other than Cyborg and her nasty, crazy, fucking sick boxing that she has. Other than that, that's the other challenge for her out there. There's no grappler that's going to challenge Rousey. It's just not going to happen. It's somebody who can, control the range, control where they want to be, not get caught up in the grappling department with her, and beat her striking. That's the person that's going to beat him. And I think it's either Holly or it's Cyborg. And while I know I'm a huge Ronda Rousey fan, I'm going to back her up for every single fight. I want to see those two fights. More so, I want to see the Cyborg fight. I don't think the UFC, but I don't see the UFC being a conspiracy. With all the conspiracy and everything that's being said about it, I don't think they're trying to keep her out. That fight could happen next year. You never know, or the year after.
Now, as far as the original question, is the UFC protecting their asset or whatever? I don't think Rousey wants to fight. I don't think Cyborg wants to fight. The reason is they're both talking a lot of game, but when it comes to make the proper moves and sign on the dotted line all the way back to the Strikeforce stage, neither of them will do it. Rousey moved down in weight instead of fighting Cyborg. Cyborg has not cut 35 yet, even though she said she wanted to for about a year and a half now. It's all talk and it's all bullshit. If they want the fight to happen, they got to just make it happen and stop with the excuses. Stop with, I need you here, but I need to be here first, and I'll just make the fucking fight happen. It's the exact same bullshit as the stupid Anderson Silva GSP stuff. The fight was always ready to happen, but something always came up. I've been through this rodeo enough times to know the fight's not going to happen. The only time where that ever did happen was Vanderlei and Chuck Liddell. That's only because the UFC bought Pride.
It almost reminds me of like Mayweather-Pacquiao, the whole thing that was going on for a little bit. It's not obviously not exactly the same, but it's got the same type of feel. And the thing that annoys me actually is, I guess the way that question was worded, are they trying to like protect their asset? To be honest, if you want me to be completely blunt about this, I feel as if she were to come in, I feel like Cyborg runs through Rousey, and I feel like if she does, the UFC makes more money with Cyborg because you look at her, you look at what she can do, you look at the complete beast that she is. Sure, she's not like some sexy, beautiful woman, but I feel like there's a lot of people that are going to shell out money to see her, as bad as it sounds, basically beat up other women. I feel like it's a moneymaker. I don't think the UFC is trying to protect Rousey. I mean, clearly they have some sort of bias for her, at least a little bit. That's quite clear, but I don't think they're going to protect her to the point of not signing a very good, talented fighter in the world because they don't want her to lose. I don't think that's...
It's a win-win either way, I feel. For both, for all three parties involved. It's a win-win for Ronda, it's a win-win for Cyborg, it's a win-win for the UFC if that fight happens.
For Cyborg, honestly. If she loses, especially coming off the positive drug test, all the hype she's built up is right down the drain.
Yeah, I guess it's a win-lose for both Ronda if they lose. But
she would lose.
It would be a legendary fight, though. I mean, it'd be the fight that many people will talk about for years, as far as women fights. You know what I mean?
And as far as what Blaze was saying, you may not want to admit it, but sexuality does play a major key in
all day
leading the pack.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's Gina Carano, Cyborg still wasn't pushed all that much. Rousey was the first female fighter to get a major push, to use a wrestling term, since Gina Carano. Why? It's pretty obvious. Skill and looks together are going to beat skill alone, as far as the women goes.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're protecting her. That's my last thing about it. And thank you, Matt Damon, for the question. We're going to move on.
You guys have sex with Cyborg?
What?
Would you guys sleep with Cyborg?
Oh, get the hell out. Get out. We're going to move on now. No. No.
Obrigado. I like Brazil.
Oh my goodness, who do you? I guess Marco Guevara. I'm Hispanic and I can't even say this name. Marco Guevara. Who do you see losing their belt first? I guess he means which champion do you see losing their belt first? And he puts out choices. He thinks either Demetrius Johnson or Cain Velasquez. Maybe he means these two champions specifically.
Between the two of them, I'm gonna pick Cain losing his belt first, just because he can get caught at heavyweight.
It's more likely for a heavyweight to lose than Demetrius. Yeah, that's true.
And Cain also has much better competition than DJ. I think DJ's already ran through a whole bunch of them. But I also think DJ might lose his belt first if he just moves up, because there's nothing left for him there. So that's how I would see it happening.
Blaze, go ahead.
What?
He went home.
Did you hear the question?
I totally drifted off for a second, guys.
Thanks a lot,
You son of a bitch. All right. Who do you see losing their belt first, Demetrius Johnson or Cain Velasquez?
Oh, okay, I heard that. Yeah.
Math.
Demetrius Johnson or Cain Velasquez?
Who do you see losing their belt first?
Kane. I think Demetrius is far superior to anyone in his weight class. The only guy that's close to him is Benavidez, and we all saw that absolute disgusting knockout he landed on him. I don't see anybody else coming close. Like Adam said, in the heavyweight division, you got guys like Dos Santos, you got guys who can hit hard, you guys who can submit people. It's every single fight. It's a toss-up, man. You can throw an Overeem in there, Brown, Hunt, anyone, man, and it's going to be a tough fight. I think flyweight, it's a mismatch. Almost anybody you put in there against Mighty Mouse. So I'm going to say Kane 100%.
Yeah, it's definitely funny how Demetrius has come full circle since, his first fight with Ian McCall, where it was a draw. Many people were like, where does this guy go? Is he that good? Now everybody just seems to think that he's light years ahead of everybody in his division. And you might not be wrong. Apparently this guy's been working so hard. He's just tweaked out certain things, and he had a killer year last year. Fighter of the year or the year last year.
Never underestimate the eight of Matt Hume. Matt Hume is a coach, always improves the fighters he's working with, every time.
Yeah. I think Kane is more likely to lose his belt first. Kane definitely has that feel of holding that belt for a while, though. I mean, he's just looked so good in both of those fights against Dos Santos, the fight against Bigfoot. But we knew that he could beat those guys. And now he's going to be fighting newer competition. He's going to be fighting guys probably like Fabricio Verdum, Travis Brown, whichever guy wins that fight. That's coming up soon. Both of those fights are very interesting. I think the more dangerous fight, and the fight most likely to happen, will probably be Travis Brown. I think that's a dangerous fight. That's a fight that Kane could lose. It's a very close fight, I feel. I think Kane obviously has the better grappling background for that. And just going to the question, we're looking at Kane's future opponents. It's Travis Brown. Look at Demetrius Johnson's probable future opponents. It's either going to be Ali Bagatinov or Brad Pickett. And
oh shit, I forgot about him, man. That guy's for real.
Ali Bagatinov, yeah, I mean the dude can knock dudes out. That guy's got hands, and he's got a good sambo base. But you never know. I mean that's a good fight. It's a decent fight. It's the fight that's probably going to happen for DJ next. I think it's a good matchup for him. It's definitely going to be somebody who could definitely test DJ, I feel, because Ali's looked great. I mean, he totally just dismantled that John Lineker guy, a guy who can't make weight for shit. He did amazing in that fight. In his knockout performance, he's just looked great. I think that fight's going to be great. I think the fight with Kane and Travis could be great. A fight with Kane and Verdum could also be great. I think for me, the Brown fight just seems more likely because I just don't see Verdum getting past Brown. That's a discussion for another time.
Now, what's going to happen first? Either those guys lose their title or Mike Cubs win the World Series.
Get the fuck out of here.
Come on.
Oh, sorry, dude. Sorry. We're going to move on to Brian Ashcraft. His question. Since Johnny Hendricks is hoping for a fall return, who do you see getting the next title shot with Carlos Condit and GSP hurt? Nick Diaz being Nick Diaz, Rory McDonald. I could just see so many people commenting on that one fuck up right there. Rory McDonald versus Tyrone Woodley. Robbie Lawler versus Jake Ellenberger. Matt Brown versus Eric Silva. And Hector Lombard versus whoever he is going to face next. Who do you see being the biggest threat to Hendricks? This is an awesome question simply because the welterweight division just looks fucking awesome.
It is the welterweight division is so beautiful right now.
Not be more
I want to see, to be completely honest, for the number one contender fight, I mean, obviously we need somebody in there, I guess, at the end of the summer, but since that a little bit away, I would really, really, really like to see Robbie Lawler got a fight, didn't he already?
Yeah, he stepped in short notice. Tarek Saffiedine got hurt. He's gonna fight Jake Ellenberger at 175, I believe. Yes.
I really, really wanted to see. Go ahead.
No, I was just telling you the fight's gonna happen at 175.
I really wanted to see. What's his name? Lawler versus Lombard. I thought that would have been such a good fight.
That would have been an amazing fight, yes.
And,
Lombard doesn't have a dance partner. Out of all these other guys, I mean, if Nick Diaz wants to come back, which he won't, it's not going to happen. I don't think it will.
No, Nick Diaz isn't coming back because he'll have to earn his way to a title shot, and
he doesn't want to do that. Yeah, I think the next best matchup for Hector makes sense for me is Dong Young Kim. I mean, he's the only guy. I mean, he's he had a fight recently. He looked amazing in it. 2 knockouts. I think that fight makes sense. As far as who Johnny Hendricks faces next, that's just way too early to tell. With all those matchups, with everything being up in the air, Rory McDonald versus Tyron Woodley possibly happening, that hasn't been signed yet, but that's just been the rumor, and I think that fight makes sense. I think if there's any fight that will determine a number 1 contender, it's probably that fight.
Yeah.
Everything else after, probably works its way out. I mean, I don't see Matt Brown versus Eric Silva being one. But what sucks about that is just, man, Matt Brown has just looked amazing as well. But what's funny about that is Matt Brown has, 6 wins straight, right? And if he wins, that's 7 straight, and he'll have the biggest win streak in the UFC currently, other than GSP's, which might not be valid anymore since he's no longer competing. That in itself is impressive. That's like what Jim Miller had before he fought Ben Henderson and lost that streak.
Coming off of the injury, though, he needs to have a couple fights. One isn't going to get him a title fight. My personal pick is Woodley, just because even though Rory looked like a killer in his last fight, he had the tendency to look completely lethargic. Yeah. And in a battle of lethargy, if that's a word, Woodley in a Strikeforce game, or the Strikeforce days, is a really good lethargic fighter. I think if it comes down to that, I think he'll be Rory McDonald.
I think the kind of guy that can beat McDonald has been proven. Guys that like Robbie Lawler and guys like who else beat him? Carlos Condit. Guys who are just vicious and come forward and just don't give you no room to do shit. Guys who get aggressive. But the guys who push Rory, who make him have to think about things.
Matt Brown or Rory McDonald? Who do you got?
Matt Brown or Rory McDonald? I feel Matt Brown could win that fight. I think Rory would probably out-grapple him, so he'd get the decision. But guys who have a good grappling base, like Robbie did, and like Carlos does, and and Woodley, of course, has an amazing grappling base. I think he's going to be able to be able to brush off any wrestling or grappling that Rory wants to throw in that fight, and I see him being able to beat him standing. I think he's going to be able to put some hands on him, and he's going to make Rory think. And when Rory has to think too much, he just doesn't look that good. I call Woodley to win that fight. I think he'll probably be the next guy to fight Hendricks sometime later in the either the fall or winter, when Hendricks is supposed to come back from that bicep surgery.
We'll
move on here then to the next question. From Kyle Scott Holsworth, how do you think Eddie Alvarez would fare in the UFC? That's a good question. That is an interesting question, and will it happen? I don't know. If you think about that, Eddie has one last fight on his contract, which will be on the Bellator pay-per-view in May.
Win or lose, he's coming over, I think. Win or lose, he's coming over.
I hope so. I really do.
Well, isn't there the whole Bellator champion clause thing? Unless they if he wins the belt, what happens? Because isn't there like a clause where if you're a champion, you have to stay with the organization unless they release you?
There was something different about this.
No, contract. I mean, look at Hector Lombard. He had the belt when he left Bellator, and the UFC basically bought him out. I mean, they had to. I mean, if you look at how much Hector gets paid per fight, yeah, he got bought out. He got bought out.
See, I don't think Alvarez is going to fare well. To be honest, I think he lost the last fight against Chandler. I think he lost both times.
It was a very close fight. That's definitely... If I was there, because it was in Long Beach, it was here. I was there live for that fight. I thought Eddie did more damage. I thought he lost more rounds. I will say that. I thought it was a great fight, though, and yeah, it was a close fight. Eddie, how would he do in the UFC? Let's put him against some lightweights and see how it feels. Gilbert Melendez. Think about that. How do you think that fight goes?
Who?
Eddie Alvarez versus Gilbert Melendez. How do you think that fight goes?
Melendez. I feel like Melendez would just use a very... honestly, I don't know about that one. Go ahead, Adam. That's a tough one.
I think Melendez will win the decision. Eddie Alvarez has a tendency to get dropped early in fights. I don't think Melendez will finish him because Eddie Alvarez, much like Nogueira, it's not the chin, it's his recovery ability that keeps him in the fight.
Yeah.
But I think he'll drop him early and he'll keep that pressure on and win a decision. I don't see him, especially in a 3-round fight, I don't see him putting away Alvarez.
Yeah.
I think the kind of fight, but that's the kind of fights that Alvarez would hang around in. He'll be around Ben Henderson level. Better than Josh Thompson, below the champion, probably around Ben Henderson level. Had Frankie Edgar still been the champion, I'd take Eddie Alvarez over Frankie Edgar all day.
Yeah, I would have to say yes to that. I mean, Eddie Alvarez is good about using his strength in fights. He's good about, keep pacing himself at times. Sometimes he blitzkriegs a lot, but when he does, I think it's at the best calculated moment. A fight against a guy like, Donald Cerrone or Jim Miller, those are exciting fights, just thinking about them now.
Those are two I think wins.
Say that again?
Those are two fights I think Eddie Alvarez wins against
Donald Cerrone and Jim Miller? Jim Miller,
Yeah.
I don't know. Donald Cerrone, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just putting Jim Miller on a higher stool than I should, but I mean, Jim Miller's pretty good, man. Especially when you look at his last fight, he tapped out a black belt. I forget what his name was right now. I'm drawing a blank, but it was at 168. It was a great fight. Jim Miller's always a dangerous guy, and that makes for a great fight. Imagine if they called that fight as Eddie's first fight when he came into the UFC. That'd be great.
How about Alvarez and Nate Diaz?
Nate Diaz. That would be fun to watch.
Himself.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about all these fights, it definitely makes you want Eddie to be coming to the
Chandler.
UFC.
I want to see Chandler in the UFC. I want to see Chandler versus Pettis. Oh, that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
See, Chandler versus Melendez would be very interesting.
Yeah.
That's a great fight, yeah. Man, just the Bellator, what they have right, their lightweight division is definitely right. They got their best stars are in that division. I definitely believe if they lost Alvarez and Chandler, they'd be fucked.
Relying on my boy Pat Curran.
Oh, exactly. But that's my favorite featherweight. You know that. For any fan that doesn't know, Pat Curran, the Bellator featherweight champion, is one of my favorite fighters of all time. I love watching that dude do work. His latest fight against Daniel Strauss, that last second submission just had me just tripping. I was freaking out. It was Say that again, Adam. You're kind of cutting out.
Like the Waterson Penne fight?
Yeah, the guy puts together great performances when he's not having issues outside of fighting. He just seems man. If the UFC had him in their featherweight division, man, it would reinvigorate me with so much hope for that division than I do right now for it. Eddie Alvarez needs to come to the UFC. It needs to happen. Him and Pat Curran, Michael Chandler, just the thought of those guys versus the guys the UFC
you gotta
has.
kill Bellator for what you're saying.
Say that again?
You want to kill Bellator.
I do. I really do. I mean, I don't know what it does for everybody else, but I just feel like Bellator has just been dropping the ball lately. I still watch their shows. I think Alexander Shlemenko is a great fighter over there too. He's another guy who's made a big name for himself over there. Who else do they have that's really good over there? I mean, I really can't think of them right now. I'm just drawing a blank because I haven't watched Bellator in a while, other than the Pat Curran and Rampage cards. We're moving on.
Not so much. Light heavyweight and middleweight. Shlemenko could be a top 10 in the UFC.
I mean, the guy is just.
While we're talking about Bellator, I want to let Adam name drop again. How about that Curran finish with Strauss, huh?
Yeah.
We talked about that. You were spacing out again.
Oh, really?
Yes. You have a habit of doing. Are you stoned?
I'm not stoned. I just worked 11 hours. You guys are making fun of me.
Oh shit.
Fuck out of here. You with your work. That was a great finish. Like I said, I don't know how you felt. I didn't get your take on that, Adam. Though I might not have heard it either.
As far as what?
The finish is Curran on Strauss in their latest fight.
Oh, see, I'm not stoned.
I wasn't able to watch it live. I was working, but I mean.
Yeah.
Another name drop past my teammate. I was ecstatic. Good fight, good finish, and I was actually extremely impressed by the respect Strauss is showing too. So I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he put some hands on Curran. I mean, it's debatable he was losing the fight up until that finish. He needed that finish.
I think he was down 3 rounds.
Yeah.
But right afterwards, the first person to hug Pat was Daniel Strauss. He celebrated with Pat in Pat's locker room after Strauss just lost his title to Pat Curran. That's where I gained a lot of respect from him, was his post-fight stuff, because just how much respect he showed. And he never made one excuse about his missed weight cut.
Yeah.
So I was impressed by all that.
Strauss has definitely become a good dude in my book. Definitely going to be watching his fights coming up. I'm glad Bellator has certain fighters that grow within their promotion. That definitely helps Bellator for sure. And I kid earlier when I say I want to see Bellator go down. I don't, because that does so much bad things for all the other fighters. Huh?
Kid.
Say that again?
You're kind of kidding.
I'm kind of kidding. I don't like some of the shit Bellator does. I don't like that they're going to pay-per-view. I don't like that they screw fighters over, a la Eddie Alvarez and certain other fighters like Tyson Nam. I feel that, but I don't want to see them go down. I want to see them succeed because I want the fighters that Bellator has to succeed. I want them to get paid the right amount of money.
Fighters, as long as you don't respect the promotion all that much.
No, I think Bjork Rebney is a retard. I think Viacom are greedy assholes, and but I think their fighters are some of the best in the world for sure. Pat Curran being my favorite that Bellator has to offer, of course.
All right, we should start wrapping this up. We've been going on for a while.
Yeah, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. We got 40 more minutes left. We only got 5 more questions, I guess we'll go. We got Alexi Ritvild. He asks us, what are our favorite divisions, and do we prefer tournament style or the matchmaking style of the UFC? I prefer neither, because the matchmaking style of the UFC has just been a joke lately. And the tournament style of Bellator, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it sometimes. I mean,
Pride and
Pride Grand Prix had it right, I feel. But then again, same day fights like that can fuck a dude over, health-wise.
That's the challenge, coming out of your first fight healthy.
Say that again?
That's part of the challenge, is coming out of your first fight healthy for him.
Yeah, but I mean, that kind of changes how the fight goes. Kind of, some guys try not to get hurt, playing defensive mostly. It can make for a weird fight at times. Not a bad fight, but just like you can just tell that they're not fighting the way that they would want to fight in, like, say, their final fight of the night.
Wait, are you awake?
Say that again? You're kind of cutting out, dude.
Wait,
Say it one more time.
is Blaze even awake anymore?
I don't know. Blaze, say something. Say
I'm
something
sitting right
stupid.
here. I'm waiting for one of you guys to let me speak. You
No.
assholes.
Okay, Blaze, what is your favorite division?
Us Canadians are way too polite that we can't even put ourselves into a conversation. We have to
Canadian
wait until
shit?
we're asked to speak.
Has anyone ever said that you talk like a Canadian?
Do I actually?
You do talk like a Canadian.
Well, considering that I'm on the phones all day, like I talk as my job, and I work for an American company, I hear it all the time. They're like, "Are you Canadian?" And I'm like, "No, eh?" And then they're like, "Yes, you are." Okay, so my favorite division?
Yes, your favorite division. Go.
I feel like you guys might be surprised by this, and it's not a popular decision, but by far it is the flyweight division. Even though Mighty Mouse seems to be like above and beyond, I find a lot of the fights for contenderships and a lot of the fights that the UFC seems to just stick on the prelims and bury at the bottom of the cards, they're super exciting, they're competitive, they're fun, and they're fast, and they have cardio for days. And to be honest, when I'm watching a fight and I'm looking at the technical aspects and the punches and the kicks and the takedowns, I'm not focused on what their size is as opposed to the octagon and the referee and anything else. I'm looking at what they're doing and how they're moving and what they're doing to each other. And it sounds weird to say, but it's beautiful the way that they fight. I love it. No other division comes close, in my opinion.
I will say this about the flyweight division. One of the guys coming up, Justin Scoggins, that guy looks amazing. He looks great. He just recently fought on which card? He fought on the 171 card, yeah. The Johnny Hendricks fight. He fought a guy named Will Capizano or something like that. And beat him decisively,
Okay.
and then he fought earlier at some point in last year at the end of it, and just did an amazing job finishing an opponent. He looks like a guy to watch. Justin Scoggins, got to put that name out there. My favorite division, I gotta say, middleweight right now. It just looks insane. I mean, the fight with Machida, I'm a huge Chris Weidman fan. Me and Zach and Chris got on the bandwagon when he beat Munoz, and man, when he fought Silva the first time, did we absolutely lose our shit. Man, and we've been on the Weidman hype train since, and I'm excited for Weidman to fight these guys, to fight Machida, to fight Belfort at some point, to fight Jacare, to fight maybe Rockhold, fights. I mean, the names at middleweight have definitely improved since the days of Anderson Silva in the middle of his run, when just.
You say Danderson Silva?
No, I said Anderson Silva.
Okay.
Shut the fuck
Shit.
up, Blaze. What? I would say, yeah, middleweight's my favorite. I'm excited for their champion. I'm excited for the guys coming up in the rankings at middleweight. I mean, it's more stacked than I think middleweight ever has been. You have guys like Rockhold and Kennedy maybe coming up if he looks good against Bisping. It's possible. Bisping has always been up there. I doubt he'll ever fight for the belt, but he makes that division interesting. Brad Tavares, an up-and-comer who has just been winning every fight. Yoel Romero, that guy has been looking extra. Yeah, man. I mean, if you saw his last fight against Derek Brunson, he was losing that fight 2 rounds down, and then he comes back in the 3rd round. It was an amazing fight. I believe that was in January, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Wasn't that for the troops event?
Was it? No, he knocked out Ronnie Marks at the Fight for the Troops event.
Yeah, the Troops event, wasn't that the one where Derek Brunson won by some kind of kick to the belly or something like that?
No. The Fight for the Troops event, Yoel Romero knocked out a guy named Ronnie Marks, and then he fought this January, I think, on the Fox card or the Rockhold Philippou card, and knocked out Derek Brunson in the 3rd round with a comeback. And so that makes him 3-0 in the UFC thus far. With all finishes, and he's 35. That's impressive to be doing that at his age. So the middleweight division for me is the most exciting. What about you, Adam?
205.
205? Yeah, I mean, for me that's got to be second, but go ahead.
Coming from, the Pride days, Pride middleweight division, all my favorite fighters came from there. Originally Sakuraba, Vanderlei, Mauricio Shogun, and my enjoyment of 205 is just translated from there. The days post Liddell as the champion of the UFC, I thought were the best. I love it when the belt's constantly changing hands. It's nice to have a dominant champion once in a while, but when it gets to Anderson Silva level, it almost, in the Unhersta division, because then you rely on guys like Talis Latis getting title shots, so okay.
Yeah.
170 is finally exciting again because that, there's fresh blood as a champion, meaning everyone gets another chance to see how they fare. And I think 205, even though that Liddell was a dominant champion, Couture was there for a while, and Vanderlei just wrecked Pride, there was always an interesting fight there. And even now, I think there's always an interesting fight at 205, and god damn it, Chicago Cubs.
Once we're done, Adam, you can go ahead and cry about it after. Come on.
They're winning 3-2, they just gotta win the goddamn game. What kind of pitch was that?
Oh, man. We get it. 205 is your favorite division. We will move on. We understand why. Jones, man, that guy has some more fights left in him at 205. I'm definitely excited for who he faces next. I don't like the Teixeira fight. I've always thought he was highly overrated. We'll see in the next coming weeks.
We'll get that fight out of the way.
Yeah. All right. Now we move on to the next one. Who do I think will, by Mac Mitchod, which is kind of a weird question, who do we think will be the next Bellator heavyweight champion, Vitaly Minakov or Czech Congo? I honestly would not be surprised if Czech Congo happens to win the heavyweight championship. I mean, the Bellator's heavier weight divisions just haven't looked that impressive to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Minakov, Congo's training.
I haven't actually watched this guy, Vitaly Minakov, so I'm not gonna.
He's a taller fighter. If I'm thinking of the right fighter, he's quite a bit taller, does carry power, knockout fighter, and Congo's training. And I'm basing that more off the fact that Congo's training more than anything. Congo does not have good defensive striking. His striking as a whole has always been overrated. He has good kicks and powerful punches. That doesn't mean you're a good striker.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Blaze? If you're listening.
I'm listening. I would be agreeing with Adam in this case.
Damn right you are.
Well, no, I mean, I was literally going to say things basically right along the lines of what he said. I don't really think there's much point in me just reiterating what he said. Adam's a smart dude.
Woo!
That's the most compliments you're ever going to get out of me, Adam, by the way, so you can just take that and run with it.
Mr. Negative Nancy, aren't I? Yeah.
You know Zach, which is another MMA admin, he called me the new Adam yesterday. Do you know that?
Yeah,
because our Adam Carr is notorious Negative Nancy.
I am not. I don't know where that came from. Just because I don't think a lot of fights lately have been exciting.
Yeah, this year, I will agree with you. This year has started off very lackluster as opposed to last year. The UFC 169 and the UFC Fight Night 36, I believe, the one with Machida and Musashi, the cards that tied the record for the most decisions, that didn't help. I thought January started off nicely. The Fight Pass started off nicely. February was not a good month, I felt, except for the UFC 170 pay-per-view, the Ronda Rousey card. I thought it was a great card. But yeah, there's just something about this year that I can't put my finger on. It hasn't, it hasn't excited me the way 2013 did. And 2013 was one of the more terrific years in all of MMA.
I really think it was the best year we've had since probably 2005, which was a fantastic year.
Oh, yes.
Middleweight Grand Prix, Ultimate Fighter 1. That year did a lot for MMA.
Yeah.
No, I would agree. I think that was a really good year for that. My roommate just walked in awkwardly staring at me. That was the best thing ever.
You watching? You watching?
No, I'm not watching porn.
Oh man, no, the legitimacy of this podcast has just gone out the window now. All right, if it hasn't already, to us, to our MMA fans. By the way, we're brought to you by the MMA
pilot episode. It's a work in progress.
By the way, MMA discussion fans, we are brought to you by the MMA trolls, who give us about 10% of their likes every day when they talk shit about us. We love them. Love you guys. We have one more question here, guys, and then we'll sign off out of here. Last question. Here we go. What do we think about Melvin Guillard possibly signing with the World Series of Fighting?
Yes. Can I take this one first?
Go ahead, bro.
I think it's a good signing for their 155 division, but it scares me because the thought of Newell versus Guillard is really bad. If you can see where I'm going with that, I feel like he can probably destroy most of their lightweight division. I mean, he's not the best fighter out there, but if you look at their lightweight division, it's not very strong. I mean, let's be real here. You look at their competition, it's not that great. Guillard is a journeyman, but he can put the hurt on people. So him versus Newell or Gachi or whatever you say that guy's name, I think he, if they sign him, he's going to be their champion within this year.
Wow, bold statement. What do you think, Adam?
I want him to debut against Jay-Z.
What? What?
Jay-Z count.
Oh.
Yeah,
Why did I think the rapper?
I thought you meant the rapper.
I totally forgot about Cavalcante and that he was with the World Series of
I have
Fighting.
to say honestly, but Jay-Z Calvin, he's one of those guys that had it early on, but once Heroes dissolved, he was never the same. But that's a fight that Jay-Z would get up for. It's a fight that would show us what Jay-Z has. And if Guillard can't beat Jay-Z, then he's not going to hang in the lightweight division for long. Other than that, I mean, I got the Wikipedia list of who they got. They got Volkman, not really interested. Buscape, Pride veteran, but still not really interested. Luis Palomino, I might be a little more interested in, but, Antonio McKee. I hate that guy. He's the most boring fucker in the world.
Next to Jacob Volkman. I mean, Jacob Volkman can put on good fights. He just really chooses not to, I feel.
And that's what really pisses me off about Antonio McKee. He has all the ability to be exciting, but his favorite thing to do is cuddle you to death. And if he can't beat Antonio McKee, or if he can't keep Antonio McKee off him, he's not beating Gaethje. Simple as that. But I want him to fight one of those kind of guys. The Antonio McKee, Jay-Z. Not the champ, but about a step or two below that.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting. Lightweight division would definitely have a nice spark to it if Melvin joined it. I think that'd be a great addition to their team. World Series of Fighting is putting on an amazing card coming up here with Husamar Palhares versus John Fitch. What do you think about that one, huh? That's a great fight. That is an amazing fight. I don't know why I just get tingly thinking about it. That's a great fight.
I feel like John Fitch is going to have some ligaments torn, and I also doesn't that card have Newell and Gaethje as well?
It has Nick Newell and Gaethje, yeah. That's an impressive fight as well. It's also supposed to feature Tyrone Spong.
Tyrone Spong he's a beast.
Yeah, that guy's fun to watch, man.
You can use to describe him as beast.
Yo, really, I mean, I the first time I saw him was in K1 when he fought Overeem in the I think it was 2010, 2011 Grand Prix.
Yeah,
And that was great. I mean, he lost the fight, which, I mean, realistically, I think Spong is a better kickboxer, but it was a good
he's
fight.
too damn small. That's all it came down to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be an awesome card. I think it will be the card that the World Series of Fighting does, where they put it on NBC, not NBC Sports, but on NBC itself.
If they don't, it's stupid.
Say that again.
If they don't, they're missing out because that's prime.
That's
time.
an amazing fight. That's probably the
Trump
most.
just lost the lead. God damn it.
Last things I've said here. If they put that card together, and another thing about it is if John Fitch can't make that card, or well, no, I think it only makes sense if John Fitch can't fight. If John Fitch can't fight, Josh Berkman's the next guy that makes sense for that card. Dude has wrecked it in World Series of Fighting. He looks like he makes the most sense, and I believe he's